Pszczyna, a town in south of Poland, picturesquely located among forests, meadows and lakes, is best known for the Castle Museum, housed in a palace formerly owned by the Princess of Ples. It belongs to one of the most beautiful aristocratic residences in the country, with well-preserved buildings and interiors. The castle history is an excellent example of mutual infiltration and merging of Polish, German, English and French cultures. Rebuilt multiple times, the castle owes its current neo-Baroque form to the 1870–1876 reconstruction effort. Located by a town main square, to the north it is flanked by a beautiful English-style landscape park. Since its construction, the castle was a seat of the Silesian Piasts, the representatives of the Hungarian Turca nobility, the Promnitz family, the Anhalt-Köthen princes, and from 1846 to 1945 the Counts of Hochberg from Książ in Lower Silesia, who from 1850 refer to themselves as Princes of Ples. Evidence from the early days of the castle dates back to the first half of the 15th century, when Helena, a niece of Polish King Władysław Jagiełło, erected a Gothic-style edifice with two towers. It is known that the quadrilateral defense development, with its subsequent additions of a rampart and a moat, was completed pre-1443, which was when it withstood an attack by a Hussite army from the south. The palace was transformed many times by its subsequent owners. The current appearance is a result of a refurbishment project by Hans Heinrich XI from the years 1870 to 76, according to the design by French architect Hippolyte Détaillé. The palace obtained a costume of French Baroque entre cour et jardin, between court and garden. After the death of the old prince, Hans Heinrich XI, the Duchy of Pszczyna was taken over by his son, Prince Hans Heinrich XV, whose wife was famous for her beauty, English lady Marie Theresa Olivia Cornwallis-West, Princess von Ples, known as Daisy. After their marriage in London, she came to Pszczyna in December 1891 and she noted her first impressions in her diary. There were hectares of terraces and gardens, as well as many indistinguishable sculptures. A wonderful order of a stately residence, of a heavy luxury, but with no comfort or convenience, or even a personal bathroom. The princess was an extraordinary person, who found it difficult to adjust to stiff German etiquette. She was also concerned with European politics, being close friends with Edward VII and George V of England, the German Emperor William II, other monarchs and some of the greatest statesmen of the time. The castle successfully met the requirements of its owners for many long years, receiving the most eminent representatives of European aristocracy. During the First World War, Pszczyna Castle played an important role as the main headquarters of Emperor William II and the headquarters of the German military command. Pszczyna Castle is one of the very few museum residences within continental Europe with so many valuable elements of preserved historic furnishings. Upon entering the museum, we found ourselves transported to the second half of the 19th and early 20th century, as if by a time machine, to discover the charm and mood of the era. You may almost hear the faint echo of horse-drawn carriages or automobiles stopping in the oak-slab paved entrance vestibule and servants standing in line to welcome visitors. Here, Prince Hans Heinrich XV received Emperor William II and led him to his private apartment in the west wing of the ground floor. In the west corridor, that also served as antechamber, officers and guests waited to be received while Emperor William himself accompanied in the drawing room by Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg and General Erich Ludendorff, made military decisions that affected the shape of Europe. The Emperor's apartment occupies 5 rooms in the west wing on the ground floor. These include Empress Augusta Victoria's bedroom and rooms assigned to the Emperor, the conference room, study, dressing room and bedroom with bathroom. In the conference room, we can see a portrait of Hans Heinrich XI von Pless in the uniform of Grand Master of the Hunt. This room served as a conference room for Emperors William II, Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg and Quartermaster Erich von Ludendorff during First World War. In the study room, we can spot on a mantelpiece a photo of an Indian nobleman, Sir Vikar-ul-Umara, a Prime Minister of Hyderabad. The photograph was a souvenir of Princess Daisy's and Prince Hans Heinrich's trip to India in 1896, when the couple visited Hyderabad and met ul-Umara. We can see private quarters of the Emperor William II, including his private bedroom, with a splendid bed made in Berlin. Leaving the Emperor's private rooms, we pass the ground floor vestibule and to ascend the ground triple staircase leading to the castle first floor. On our way, we may admire Brussels tapestry, gifted by Catherine II of Russia to her cousin from Pszczyna, Prince Frederick Erdmann. Both hailed from the Anhalt family. Private quarters of the Lord and Lady of the house occupy the west wing on the first floor of the castle. Princess Daisy's private suite comprises 4 rooms: sitting room, bedroom, boudoir and bathroom. The post-1907 salon, its walls covered in silk with columns supporting the richly embellished entablature, was the princess' room for walk and relaxation. In the sitting room, the visitor's gaze is drawn to the marble fireplace and a portrait above it. This 1910 painting by Ellis Roberts shows Princess Daisy's son, Alexander. The furnishings include Chippendale chairs and armchairs, a black lacquer-coated, decorated with Chinese motif desks, an iron-bound casket, an ornamental screen, and a chest of drawers. The bedroom, its walls and ceiling decorated with 18th and 19th century gilded Rococo ornamentation, features a French marble fireplace, Louis XV style furniture, and a bed. The oval-shaped boudoir has a fireplace, mirrors, wainscoting embellished with vibrant stucco panels, with a wardrobe and washstand beyond. The interior allows in natural light and is additionally illuminated by 19th century Meissen porcelain chandelier and 2 wall lights. The bathroom of the boudoir, its walls tiled in white, green and pink marble, features a marble bath recessed into the flooring. Walking across the antechamber, we enter the private suite of Prince Hans Heinrich XV Hochberg von Pless. The suite comprises 4 consecutive rooms: the bedroom, its walls covered in regular wallpaper, with a bed, wardrobes and washstand; The prince's study, featuring a fireplace, wooden wainscoting and portrait of Anhalt and Hochberg princely ancestors. The hunting hall, its walls decorated with numerous hunting trophies. And the corner sitting room, a former billiard room. This final room in the prince's apartment was also used as a smoking room. The interior decor references the 18th century and Rococo times. As in the library beyond the open doors, the state drawing room has walnut wood wainscoting. Apart from the mirror chamber, these two rooms are the castle's most sumptuous spaces. Walnut paneling serves to highlight the white ceiling with its gilded molding with figural and floral motifs. The lavish decorations of the paneling, as well as the ceiling stucco, were designed by Hippolyte de Taillet. The library in the castle may well have had its first incarnation back in the 16th century, as the Promnitz family were well educated. The Hochbergs did not feel they had to augment the book collection in Pszczyna, as they own a large private library in their castle in Książ, which contained about 30,000 volumes. The collection seen here mostly consists of titles in German, French, Polish and Latin, covering a wide range of subjects, such as history, geography, theology, encyclopedia and military affairs. In front of the cabinets, on a wooden stand, there is a famous German translation of the Bible by Martin Luther, known as Weimar Bible, published in Nuremberg in 1708. The state drawing room is situated on the axis of the north facade of the castle. For private events, a great table was set out here for the family and their guests. The ceiling's decoration and moldings are finer than those in the library. From 1883, the painters in the walnut wainscoting have had paintings with pastoral, hunting and genre scenes with fantastic architecture, while in the middle of the wall there is a huge crystal mirror in a frame with neo-rococo ornamentation. Those Italianate paintings were executed in about 1728 in the atelier of Dutch landscape painter Dirk Dalenswerd. The green drawing room forms part of the ground guest suite, also comprising the bedroom and bathroom, which were reserved for the highest-ranking guests. In the mirror gallery, adorned with hunting trophies and panoplies, panneaux depicting the Książ Castle and Promnice hunting lodge are a reminder of the family's power and wide-ranging estates of the Hochbergs. We leave the gallery to enter the ground dining hall, now referred to as the mirror chamber. In the Hochberg times, at a long table set with hunting tin crockery, we would have enjoyed the ornamental menu of a feast prepared by the French chef. In modern times, this interior, thanks to its excellent acoustics, also serves as a concert and a recital hall. The architect Hippolyte de Taillet has optically widened the interior by installing a mirror in a richly ornamented frame at each end, each having a surface area of 150 square feet. A document from the time speaks of these enormous mirrors as Parisian wonders whose transport was immensely troublesome. Hans Heinrich XV and Daisy's children occupied rooms on the second floor of the castle. The same floor, which used to house guest quarters as well, offers visitors a chance to view some of the most valuable artifacts from Pszczyna Castle Museum collection, shown in a number of separate exhibitions. One of the permanent exhibitions is presented in the miniature room. The room's cabinets showcase over 201 miniature portraits, with another 48 small portraits in assorted techniques on walls. Miniatures were painted in oil or enamel on metal, silver or copper plates. Water-soluble paints, such as watercolor or gouache, were used on transparent bone plaques, parchment or paper. The room also features a collection of silhouette portraits painted in black ink or cut out of a black cardboard and pasted onto light-colored backgrounds, and a number of wax-colored bas-relief portraits, the latter a rarity today. Miniatures by Polish and foreign artists constitute by far the majority of works on display in the room. The curators of the exhibition titled The Known and Unknown were primarily driven by a wish to display the most valuable artworks, paintings, sculptures, arts and crafts shown at the castle in the past, and to present artifacts preserved in museum storage facilities and never before shown to the public. The 260 exhibits on display are enormously diverse, incorporating various types of artwork and technique. The selection has not been limited by stylistic or period restrictions, and as a result, the placing of widely varying objects next to each may bring to the mind of a visitor the concept of a cabinet of curiosities. Similarly to the common practice found in 19th century residences, the original works of art are accompanied by the exquisite copies made in the same century, mostly of items of furniture and weapons. Another permanent exhibition in the castle forms a portrait gallery within the company of Pszczyna princes, dukes and free state lords. Its concept is based on the past galleries of ancestors that used to be presented in grand manor houses to demonstrate antiquity of noble families, dynastic pride, continuity of home traditions and connections with important families. The works of art show members of free families who ruled Pszczyna from the first half of the 16th century until the first half of the 20th century, the Promnitz, the Anhalts and the Hochbergs, as well as other related persons. The exhibition not only makes it possible to track back complexity of genealogical relations among the Central European aristocracy, but also to study transformation of the European portrait painting, in particular of Silesian and German origin, from the Renaissance period until the 1930s. The collection of more than 60 oil paintings has been arranged in 3 historical castle rooms, including the work of famous German, English and Polish portrait painters. The collection is complemented by graphics, sculptures and other exhibits. Located in the scrupulously restored 15th century castle cellars, the armory comprises 6 consecutive rooms and the corridor. Over 400 pieces of historical weaponry, defensive and offensive alike, European and Oriental, are exhibited in showcases or mounted directly on the red brick walls. The armaments display is supplemented by a set of over a dozen paintings, battle scene renderings and military portraits, including likeness of Prince of Pless. Hand cannon dating to the 17th through 20th century can be seen in the armory. The largest group of weapons is small firearms such as rifles, shotguns and pistols equipped with fuse, wheel lock, flintlock, caplock and needle mechanisms. The most interesting are small bore lavishly encrusted rifles for game birds and animal hunting, produced in nearby town of Cieszyn and therefore named Cieszynka. Sumptuously decorated hunting crowbows include a German 1542 made hunting crossbow with antler-carved bedding depicting Mars and Diana. The volume of bladed sidearms and stabbing weapons, swords, rapiers, sabiers, dueling swords and scabbards is identical to that of firearms. Apart from the 15th century knight's combat sword and long two-handed swords used by the infantry at the turn of the 15th and 16th centuries, the executioner's sword for the town of Pszczyna is definitely a memorable item. The following artifacts are particularly noteworthy in the modest European defensive armaments collection: the Maximilian full-plate armor, around 1520, a mid-16th century German coat featuring the biblical scene of Daniel in Lion's Den, and Polish hussar half armor, about mid-17th century. The armory also holds chainmail shirts and assorted helmets. The Orient is represented by several dozen objects back to the 17th to 19th centuries. These include a set of Charayana Persian armor, Kula-Chut chainmail helmets, Tunis horse stack and saddle, Turkish and Balkan yatagans, and samurai swords and armor. The Pszczyna Castle Armory is one of the most interesting collections of its kind across Poland. The prince's stables, located to the east of the castle, are integral part of the Castle Museum. The stables were developed on the order of Hans Heinrich XI von Hochberg to designs by Prince's court architect Oliver Pawelt. The carriage house was the first to be erected in 1864. In the years between 1866 and 1867, the master mason Wechowski supervised the construction of neo-Romanesque brick and stone stables with a round bastion in the northwestern corner. The interior houses a free ale hall covered with a polychrome cross-ribbed vault supported by cast iron posts. The stables offer 24 small and 12 large stalls for the princely horses. Residential quarters for court servants were located above the stables on the first floor. A two-story sale room with wooden wainscoting and a staircase leading to the modest gallery flanks the stables to the southwest. A small stable for sick horses and a horse washing and grooming chamber were located near the saddle room. In the early 20th century, single-story brick garage facilities with parking space for 9 princely vehicles and automobile wash and mechanical workshops were erected between the carriage house and the old mill building. The museum is making full use of the renovated stable complex chiefly as an exhibition and educational venue. The complex incorporates the former stables, carriage house and mill, where temporary exhibitions are held, the latter supported by the 2 audiovisual and conference rooms. The upper story of the stables currently houses a multimedia library, a number of offices and conservation studios, which also occupy some former garage facilities. The forests of Pszczyna, carefully tended and preserved, were abundant in wild game and birds. Erecting the hunting lodge of Promnice, located in the village on Lake Paprucany, was closely associated with the hunting passion of the Counts von Hochberg. It also enabled the reception of highly eminent guests invited to hunting parties organized in the Pszczyna forest. The lodge, built in 1868, was visited by William I Friedrich Ludwig von Hohenzollern and by Emperor William II. It was also a favorite recreation spot with Princess Daisy. The interior layout included a hallway, grand hall and private quarters. A novel solution involved the design of an impressive wooden spiral staircase, leading from the grand hallway to the first floor with children's and guest rooms. The spacious hallway or vestibule was perfect for presenting the bagged game, and a double-story grand hall was designed as a venue for lavish feasts. This double-level space, referencing the mirror chamber at Pszczyna Castle, with its magnificent neo-Gothic fireplace, vibrant stained glass window featuring family crests, multiple hunting trophies and uncovered roof truss, is as impressive today as the day it was built. This was also 1868 when an effigy of Hubertus, patron saint of hunters, with Hans Heinrich XI's face, was installed in front of a lodge. The complex comprises as well a carriage house, a stable, and a forester's house. Princess Daisy wrote, "I have always loved Promnice. It is small and architecturally it is picturesque without being impressive, being a sort of cross between an Elizabethan timbered house and a Swiss chalet. It overlooks a large, lovely lake and is surrounded by fine trees. Promnice I liked best of all of my German homes."